Student, I am Mr. Abhijit Bambre, working as Assistant Professor at Gokhale Education Society's Arts, Commerce and Science College, Zofar. Welcome you again. Today we are going to start chemistry of dye stuff, in that classification of dyes based on application and their dyeing methods. Let's move. Before proceeding to classification of dye, we have start discussion or learning the basic operation of dyeing methods, that is how dyeing process take place. Then first process of dyeing, that is pre-washing of fiber. Before dyeing there is some operation take place, that is pre-washing of fibers and preparation of dye bath. Let's discuss pre-washing of a fiber. Fiber is boiled with a soap or detergent. First, before the dyeing process, there is a basic operation like a pre-washing of fiber, then preparation of dye bath. Pre-washing of a fiber. Fiber is boiled with a soap or detergent. First, fiber, those used in dyeing process, which are boiled with soap or detergent powder or detergent, it clean the fabric from the oil, waxes and other impurities naturally present in that fabric. This process help in the penetration of dye into fiber uniformly. First, pre-washing of fiber take place before the dyeing. Before we impart color to the substrate, like any textile material or any fabric material, that fiber is first boiled with a soap or detergent, then they clean the fabric from the oil, waxes and other impurities naturally present in the fabric. This process help in penetration of dye into fiber uniformly. Preparation of dye bath. Sodium sulfate, it help in absorption of a dye, that is exhaustion process. Then sodium hydrosulfide reduce wet dye to make it soluble. Some dye are insoluble or some fabric having hydrophobic nature, so sodium hydrosulfide were used before the dyeing process, that reduce the wet dye to make it soluble. Carriers and retarders. What is carrier? They act as swelling agent. Swelling agent and increase the rate of absorption of a dye for a hydrophobic fiber. And retarder are very important factor. They slow down the rate of a dyeing to a desired level. Next, application of dye. The fiber of or fabric is kept immersed in the dye bath at a particular temperature for a specific time. Fiber or fabric is kept immersed in a dye bath at a particular temperature for a specific time. In the continuous process, either the fiber or fabric is repeatedly moved through the dye solution. Dye solution apply under the pressure in alternative direction to the stationary fiber or fabric. The process is continue till the concentration of dye in the solution become a minimum. This process, first we took a dye or dye bath, then we kept a fiber or fabric immersed into that dye bath at a particular temperature or specific time for a specific time. Then it a continuous process repeatedly move through the dye solution. That fabric is repeatedly moved through the dye solution. Dye solution apply under pressure in alternative direction to the stationary fiber, and the process is continue till the concentration of dye in the solution become a minimum, and this is called as exhaustion of a dye. This is called as exhaustion of a dye. Next, different method of a dyeing cotton fabric. There is a dyeing method. There is 4 dyeing method, that is direct dyeing, wet dyeing, dispersed dyeing, and modern dyeing. There is dyeing methods, that is direct dyeing, wet dyeing, dispersed dyeing, and modern dyeing. Let's see one by one. Direct dyeing. Those direct dyeing are soluble in water as they are having a sulfonic acid group. Those dye having a sulfonic acid group are a soluble or solubilizing group. Sulfonic acid group are present in that dye. Those dye are called as direct dye, and which are useful for a soluble process. Direct dye are soluble in water, easily soluble in water, as they are having sulfonic acid group. Because they are easily soluble because of presence of sulfonic acid group, they are applied through the aqueous solution to the cellulosic fiber. Next, direct dye with a free sulfonic group have less solubility and lower affinity to the cellulose fiber than their sodium salt. Direct dye having, suppose one dye having free sulfonic group and one dye having sodium salt, when the free sulfonic group having less solubility and lower affinity. Affinity means attraction between dye molecule and substrate, where substrate is any fiber or where substrate is cellulose. Hence, before preparing the solution, a paste of a direct dye with a little soda ash is prepared to convert sulfonic acid group into sodium salt. The dye solution of a particular concentration is prepared and mixed with a common salt, and cotton fiber are immersed in at 60 degrees Celsius. When direct dyeing is take place, the dye solution is a particular concentration is prepared and mixed with a common salt called as globular salt, and cotton fiber are immersed in that dye bath at 60 degree Celsius. Temperature where is 60 degree Celsius. This salt help in exhaustion of dye. Hence, they are also called as salt dye. Direct dye, I am repeating, are also called as salt dye because of the exhaustion. These dye have affinity or substantivity toward a cellulosic fiber, and hence they are also called as substantive dye. The direct dye are called as salt dye or substantive dye. The dye is boiled to fix the dye on the fiber. They are attached to fiber by hydrogen bond. Direct dyeing means what? Those dye. Direct dyeing means what? Those dye are easily soluble in water because that having a sulfonic acid group. The direct dye also called as salt dye and substantive dye, and they are attached to fiber by H bond. Next, wet dyeing. Wet means insoluble in water. Those dye are insoluble in water. Wet dye are insoluble in water, and hence they cannot be applied directly to the cellulose. The dye bath is prepared by adding a paste of wet dye and sodium hydrosulfide to a caustic soda along with a dispersing agent. Wet dye are insoluble dye. Direct dye are soluble dye, whereas wet dye are insoluble dye in a water. Hence, they cannot be applied directly directly to the cellulose. The dye bath is prepared by adding a paste of water, wet dye, and sodium hydrosulfide to caustic soda along with a dispersing agent. The wet dye is reduced to a colorless liquid which is soluble in alkali. First, the dye bath is prepared by adding a paste of wet dye and sodium hydrosulfide to a caustic soda along with some dispersing agent. The wet dye is reduced to a colorless liquid which is soluble in alkali. The process of reduction and solubilizing is known as wetting. The process of reduction or solubilizing is known as wetting. The cotton fiber or fabric are immersed in a wet solution so that the leuco compound get impregnated into fiber. Then the fiber or fabric is steamed to affix leuco compound to the fiber. When wet dyeing on cotton is take place, in that process the cotton fiber or fabric are immersed in a wet solution, and that wet solution contains dispersing agent along with caustic soda, then sodium hydrosulfide and wet dye paste, so that the leuco compound get impregnated into the fiber. Then the fiber or fabric is steamed to a fixed leuco compound to the fiber. Then the fiber or fabric is passed through the another bath containing mild acid and air is passed into it. First, during the wet dyeing. Wet dyeing means what? Those dye are insoluble in water. First, their preparation of dye bath, it contain wet dye, sodium hydrosulfide along with caustic soda and dispersing agent, right? Then it treated with alkali means base, and then it treated with mild acid and air is passed into it. Next, modern dye. This method of dyeing is used when the dye has low affinity to the fiber. Modern dye are used when the dye molecule having low affinity to the fiber. Low affinity means attraction. Affinity means attraction between dye molecule and fiber. When modern dyeing are used, these are used when dye has low affinity to the fiber. The dye fiber affinity is increased by adding an intermediate organic or inorganic compound called as mordant. What is mordant? The dye fiber affinity is increased when dye and fiber affinity is increased by adding an intermediate organic and inorganic compound called as mordant. That organic and inorganic compound are called as mordant. The mordant dye have the group like hydroxy and carboxylic group capable for forming a stable complex with a metal. Those groups are capable to form stable complex with a metal, and that increase the affinity between dye and fiber. Thus the dye is attached to the fiber through the mordant. Dye, mordant and fiber. Next, the type of mordant depend on the nature of the fiber and structure. Actually, the type of mordant is any organic or inorganic compound which are help forming a complex with metal, and that help for increase the affinity between dye molecule and fiber molecule. Basic mordant like hydroxide of aluminum, chromium and ferrous are used for acidic dye. Acidic mordant like tannin, tannic acid, phosphotungstic or molybdic acid are used as basic dye. The dye bath is prepared by adding 2 to 5% of acetic acid and 10% of. How modern dye bath are prepared? When modern dye are preparation take place, there is 2 to 5% acetic acid, then 10% of sodium sulfate to the dye solution at 50 to 60%. Then the fiber material is introduced into the dye bath and the solution is brought to a boiling. Then the hydroxide of aluminum, chromium or are used as a mordant. The dye form a insoluble metal complex which is called as lake. The dye material is washed with a detergent and rise with a water to remove the unattached dye and the mordant. The dye material is washed with a detergent. After the process of bathing, modern dye is washed with detergent and the rinse with a water to remove the unattached dye and mordant. Modern dye having good light and washing fastness and they result in brilliant color. Dispersed dye. What is dispersed dye? The semi-synthetic fiber like cellulose. There are three types of fiber. Natural fiber, semi-synthetic fiber and synthetic fiber. The semi-synthetic fiber like a cellulose acetate, rayon and synthetic fiber like nylon, nylon 66, nylon 6 and polyester are hydrophobic, means they hate the water and hence they cannot be dyed by the aqueous solution of dyeing. In that case, dispersed dyeing method are used. In such a case, insoluble dye like nitro, azo, anthraquinone can be used as a dispersed dye. These dye are finely ground and dispersed in water using a dispersing agent. This dye must have low molecular weight and should have group like which help in formation of dispersion. The semi-synthetic and synthetic fiber are dyed by using dispersed dye. The dye paste is added to the bath to which dispersing agent and a carrier like trichlorobenzene, biphenyl or phenol is added. Dispersed dye are used in a semi-synthetic fiber like cellulose, acetate, rayon, nylon, nylon 66 and polyester, those having hydrophobic properties. Dispersed dyeing. The bath is agitated at 40 degrees Celsius. The dispersing agent help to form fine suspension of the dye. The carriers help to swell the hydrophobic fiber. These help in a penetration of the fine particle of a dye in a suspension into the matrix of the fiber. Then the temperature is raised to 80 degrees Celsius for fixation of the dye. The dye is held on the fiber by absorption. Finally, the excess of unattached dye is removed by washing with a detergent and rinsing with a water. There is four main dyeing process, that is direct dyeing, wet dyeing, modern dyeing and dispersed dyeing. Direct dyeing are those dye are used for those dye and those fiber, those dye having they are easily soluble in water. Next, wet dyeing method are used for those dye they are insoluble in water, then modern dyeing means what? Modern dye are method which are used when dye having low affinity to the fiber or to the substrate, and dispersed dyeing are used for a semi-synthetic and synthetic material. There is 4 dyeing methods: direct dyeing, wet dyeing, modern dyeing and dispersed dyeing. Direct dyeing are used for those dye which are easily soluble in water. Next, wet dyeing are used those dye which are insoluble in water. Then modern dye are method which are used when the dye has a low affinity to the fiber, to the substrate. Modern where any inorganic or organic compound. Then dispersed dyeing are used in a semi-synthetic and synthetic material. We will stop here.